All right, and welcome back to the Monday Injury Report. I am joined, as always, by Dr. Mark Casimiro. What's going on, Mark?
Not much, Nick. Happy to be back. Thanks for having me.
No problem. I hope you
left you in good hands while I was away.
Oh, definitely in some good hands. I hope that you enjoyed your time off and that you come back refreshed and energized and ready to go today.
Feeling good, my man. Feeling good.
All right. Well, I hope everybody out there enjoyed the weekend that was the two conference championships, AFC and NFC. We now have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers versus the Kansas City Chiefs, with the big game being in Tampa Bay. So it's essentially a home game for them, first time in NFL history. We're not going to talk about any of the players that are actually playing in the big game. We'll do that next week. We'll do like a little preview. You know, you have Antonio Brown, who didn't play this past weekend. You get some other guys that are banged up too. Obviously, Pat Mahomes with the turf toe and coming off the concussion protocol list. So we'll talk about those guys next week. Remember, if you have any questions about your favorite players, make sure to hit us up in the comments right now, and we will talk about them live. Let us know that you're watching. Let us know you're here. Say hi. Let us know where you're watching from. We'll give you a little shout out. But we're going to jump right into it. So let's talk about the weekend that was, some teams that are no longer in it. Let's talk about Aaron Jones. He went into yesterday's game with an injury designation of a chest injury. Fumbles the ball twice. The first time his tight end recovers it. The second time he gets popped. He fumbles. Doesn't come back. The safety that hit him too didn't end up coming back. He hurt his shoulder. So it was quite the collision. He didn't come back in the game. What do you think happened there when you see like a chest injury? What could that possibly be? And is that something that's gonna linger, or is that something that you think he'll be good to go for next year? He most likely is going to be a free agent. So is there any teams out there that are going to be worried about picking up a guy like that?
First part of your question, my first initial thought would be like a rib injury, right? A lot of times you'll see rib on the injury list, or they'll say chest or torso or whatever. So my first thought would be some type of rib injury. The other thing that could be like a contusion. You get hit in the solar plexus here. There's a bundle of nerves there, very sensitive area. You can actually bruise some of the soft tissue there, which can affect you being able to breathe. You can't take a deep breath in, take a deep breath out. I know that's a little bit of a problem when you're a football player, and especially when you're a running back. It could have been something like that, where it's just like a really bad contusion. You can get like a bruise on your lungs. You can get like a bruise on some of that organ tissue as well. And then, worst case scenario, you're thinking like if it's a rib fracture, you could have like a punctured lung or something like that. So I obviously don't think that was going on, because if that was the case, I would expected him to leave, have to go to the hospital to get treatment for that, or at least leave the field, have to go get treatment for that. So I'm thinking it was kind of a chronic kind of rib thing, maybe a contusion, where he wasn't able to kind of do the things he needed to do in order to be effective on the field. And I think you had mentioned, before we got online here, that he had some issues holding on the ball too. So if he's got a rib injury or a contusion into some of that tissue on the chest, or, God forbid, some organ stuff going on, like a lung bruise, because the hit was so hard, that's obviously going to cause him difficulty with securing the football and also being effective. And then when you're talking about like lungs and hearts, that's like life stuff. Like we don't want anyone to have a hindrance in their future life because of a football injury. So I would say, the best thing for that is usually time. So he's going to need some time to heal. So he should be good to go for next year. So I don't think it'll hurt his chances about getting picked up by another team or signing a free agent contract this year. He should be 100% next season, as far as we know. Yeah,
I mean, for him to stay out in a game, the NFC Championship game, it had to be something quite serious. And let's hope that he makes a full recovery, and that I'm sure some more information will come out in the coming days. Shout out to Doug Jr. Who said what's up. Doug, if you have any questions, make sure you put them in the comments below. He's watching us on Facebook Live.
Did he say what's up, or did he say what's up? Remember that? Remember?
Oh, I remember with the big game in 2 weeks. How could one forget those commercials? I know I haven't. All right, we're gonna switch sports, but if you want us to bring it back to football or anything like that, remember, you got to put it in the comments below. We'll let you dictate which direction the show goes in, but you gotta let us know who you want us to talk about. I'm gonna start talking about the Celtics though. kind of like a bright spot this year for the Celtics has been rookie point guard Peyton Pritchard. He went down in the game, grabs the knee. You never want to see that. They're calling it a knee sprain, MCL sprain. They're saying 2 weeks, but this is the Celtics we're talking about. So I'm going to ask you what your diagnosis is of of the knee and the timeline that they're giving, and if you agree with it. If you don't, will we see him back? Is it something that that's going to linger this year, or is it something that if he lets it heal up, he should be good to go?
Yeah, I'm glad you said that. So with an MCL is your medial collateral ligament. So it's one of the ligaments that's on the inside portion of your knee. So a lot of times, they don't need to do surgery for that. It's like kind of a, when you see that ligament when you're doing like cadaver lab when you're going through school, or if you see people doing surgeries on it, it's a very kind of broad ligament. It gives you a lot of stability on the inner part of the knee. So a lot of times they don't need to do surgery on that because it usually has a pretty good healing rate. They can allow that to heal on its own. With an MCL sprain, it's graded the same way that all the other ligament sprains are, grade 1, grade 2, grade 3. So the higher the grade, the more tissue damage you're going to get. So the higher the grade, the more serious the injury and the more time you're going to need for healing. So with the grade 1 MCL sprain, you're looking at anywhere between 2 to 4, 2 to 6 weeks, depending on sport, depending on person's age, depending on a couple other factors. So, my one pause of concern is that, this is the Celtics, and, I love the Celtics, and I'm sure I know they have a great athletic training staff and a great physical therapy staff and have great doctors that work with them. But I'm always a little bit scary hearing some of the injury reports. So, Kyrie Irving was super healthy. He went on the injured list because of his knee, and they said he'll be back. Don't worry, he'll be back after the All-Star game. He played the All-Star game and then didn't come back until the playoffs. And we know how he looked when he came back for the Celtics playing for the playoffs. We heard Kemba Walker. He's healthy. This guy is super healthy. He never missed a game. And he had to miss time this year because of a knee injury. If you remember, this is going to show my age, but Shaquille O'Neal and Kevin Garnett, they had mild knee and foot injuries respectively. For Kevin Garnett, it was a knee, and Shaq was his Achilles. I think it was his heel. And they said, oh, it's going to be fine. Don't worry. A couple of weeks. We'll let them rest a little bit. Then they'll be back and no problem. And they never made their return either. So I do have a raised eyebrow a little bit. A little bit of concern about this, but if it is in fact just an MCL sprain, they dodged the bullet because it did not look good live when it happened live. It looked like he might have torn his ACL. My other cause of concern is sometimes the MCL ligament, it has attachments with your meniscus, your medial meniscus. So sometimes if you damage the MCL, you could also have some type of meniscus injury, which can be a little bit of a chronic issue for basketball players. So that would be my one cause for concern, or one cause for pause, or being cautiously optimistic that he shouldn't have to miss too much time. To keep our eyes and ears open to see what kind of information is coming out of Celtics camp over the next week or two. But for right now, we got to take their word for it. 2 weeks, and hopefully he'll be able to start doing some basketball things. I don't know if that's 2 weeks before he can start practicing again, or if they think he's going to be back in the game in 2 weeks. I don't know. I find it hard to believe that he'll be back in games in 2 weeks. I think that they're going to probably get him ramped up in practice over the next week or two, and then maybe you see him in games like week 3 or week 4. But we'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, I think the one good thing that is different from all those other guys you mentioned that the Celtics gave time frames for who never came back is he's young. He's a rookie. So let's hope that he can heal up a little quicker than those other guys did that ended up missing, the rest of the season. Another guy I have, questions for you is Jason Tatum coming back after having COVID. We've seen it in some other sports where players miss some time, come back, and they say, they feel slow. They feel like they're out of breath. Like they're just tired. With basketball being such a endurance sport where they're running up and down the court, are you concerned with him coming back that he might not be the same player, or that it's going to take him some time to build back that stamina?
Yeah, definitely. So I think nothing's guaranteed especially with COVID. We're learning more and more information about it every day. I think recently the CDC came out, and they had put put forth some stipulations or some guidelines when returning to exercise after you've been diagnosed with COVID. I know the British Journal of Sports Medicine put out an article. The APTA has put out a few articles about this too. And what they're finding is that there's a big component of cardiovascular health issues after someone has COVID-19, which obviously has big ramifications when we're trying to get them into exercise again. I think there was a study in the summertime with out of all the college Division I college players that had COVID-19, almost half of them had issues with their cardiovascular testing after that. So it definitely is a big problem. Even though these guys are elite athletes, does not necessarily mean that they're going to be able to jump right back into playing their sport without complications and without issues. So there's definitely got to be a graded kind of response after these guys are coming back. You start them off gradually and you slowly build up with what you're asking them to do as long as they're feeling good. So yeah, my concern is that it's going to take him 2 to 4 weeks to get back into the normal swing of things and feel like he's got his legs underneath him again. So he might be on a little bit of a minute restriction. He might not be playing a lot of the back-to-back days at first. We don't really know, but those are the things that I think that we're going to see. And I definitely think there is some concern. Make sure he's someone that, we want him on the Celtics for the foreseeable future. We want to make sure we take good care of him. And so it might take him a couple weeks to kind of ramp up here.
I mean, yeah, he's a young guy who's shown flashes of being, one of the best scorers in the league. I think anybody who's a Celtics fan really wants to, when there was talks of like the Celtics trading for Harden and stuff, they're like, whatever you do, don't get rid of this guy. I mean, he's just one of those types of players that you can just see all that potential in, and you want to see what he can turn into. So let's hope that this doesn't derail his season, that he can come back, even if he's on like a little bit of a minutes restriction or something like that, and he slowly works his way back in. But like you said, we're still learning about COVID and what it does for athletes after you have it and trying to get back into game shape. So we'll have to keep an eye out. Well, Mark, that's all I have for you today. You guys will have to join us next week for our big game special, where we will go over the injury report for the game. If there's anybody on the Bucks or anybody on the Chiefs who does have any injury designations or is even questionable during this week or not practicing or limited participation, we're going to go over those guys' injuries and let you know what to expect from them, or if you will expect them to suit up and be on the field for the big game. You got to figure they're going to do whatever they can to get out there, especially somebody like like an Antonio Brown, who didn't get to play in the NFC Championship game. But remember, if you have any questions about any player that we did not talk about today that you want to make sure we talk about next week, even if you can't join us live, put them down in the comments. I check every week, all week long, to see if anybody is writing anything in the comments, and we will make sure to get to those players and let you know what their outlook looks like. Mark, thank you for joining us.
Thank you very much, Nick. Another big sporting event next Sunday, Nick.
Yes.
The Royal Rumble. Rumble. Maybe we can talk about. So, we can do some wrestling talk.
Do you have a prediction, Mark? Do you have a prediction of who's going to come out of the Rumble victorious?
In all honesty, I haven't watched wrestling since the pandemic started. It's not the same without the crowd,
Yeah, I can see that.
I wish I could say The Rock or like Stone Cold, but that's just showing my age again,
Yes.
I'm going to say Ricochet. Is Ricochet still in the WWE? I don't even know. Now there's like 3 different wrestling leagues. It's hard to keep them in track,
Growing up, I was always a big Sting fan, and he came back. Yeah, he came back recently to AEW. Yeah. His hairline it came back as well. But they're getting old. But you know what? It's nostalgia. There's nothing that can beat that.
That's right.
So it's good to see some of these familiar faces come back. But yeah, I don't know a lot of the younger guys, but
I'll do my homework for next week. I'll get ready for next week. We'll do a little Royal Rumble.
We'll do a Royal Rumble recap.
I like it. Let's do it.
And do that. All right. Remember out there, make sure that you comment. If you don't ask, we can't answer. Mark, thank you for joining us.
Thanks a lot, Nick. Have a good day, everyone. Peace.
Tell Dr. Will Campion, that we'll do some more Big East basketball the next time he has some injury updates. We can have him pop in. And everybody out there, you have a happy, healthy, safe week.
Nice.
Peace.